10 minutes in. Okay. So, welcome to this patron exclusive. If you happen to be here and you somehow got the public announcement, either go join Patron. Please try to keep this on the download. This was meant to be patron exclusive. Or if you don't feel that you should be here because you're not a patron, then just politely click away.
And don't worry, we'll be sharing about this publicly lots and lots and lots later when it's done or mostly done, and we're filming lots of progress shots and things we're doing. But we like to do little casual behind-the-scenes hangouts with our patrons. This is our first time doing it like this on YouTube Live, to share what we're up to and ask questions.
So, really quick recap of the project. I'm going to let Chris go into the details.
Okay.
All right. So, we were planning to do this project in springtime when we could get our dream lithium system at the start of our cruising season, because we're kind of nearing now storing our boat for the winter, and we didn't want our new lithium batteries to age over the winter. However, we do still have a couple months of cruising time left this season. Hopefully we'll get some anchoring out time if the storms
allow us, yes.
The storms allowing. But our lead acid batteries are shot, which are going to make that much more difficult. Original plan was just going to go to Costco, pick up some cheap golf cart batteries just as a temporary method. But we decided we're seeing a lot of the mainstream lithium drop-in batteries being installed by a lot of other YouTubers and bloggers, and decided to reach out to them all and see if any of them would be willing to make it easy for us to get some hands-on time with them before we go with our dream system, which is a Victron
super high density stuff. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. What we have done is we consider what we're working on right now to be kind of a phase one of the lithium system. We may either expand the current bank that we're doing, or we may totally replace it with the higher density stuff come springtime or later.
Yeah, and then this, if we do that, then this might become the future system in the bus. It's kind of the planning that we did. So it required a lot of engineering and design work to figure out what this project would be to allow it to evolve into these potential future changes as well. So
step number one you need to know is the lead acid batteries are currently in a battery box on the cockpit. Well, actually, in the lazarette underneath.
Mm-hmm.
They are still in place right now. They will be removed here as part of in a couple days. We have decided to do the lithium installation inside the salon.
Under the sofa, right here.
After we, of course, in our bus system that we've run now for 7 years, we discovered the heat issues that can occur with lithium batteries.
It's a little bit the heat issue, and it's just also, there's a lot of good reasons to have the batteries and the inverter very close to each other, and we're putting the inverter here. We're designing a thermal system around it because you have minimal wire runs. It is great that way, and that will free up a lot of storage back in the lazarette, where I don't know what we'll do with it all. But
maybe that's where the folding bikes
yes, maybe we'll have space.
We made a lot of space in the lazarette with the new generator, which is half the size of the old one, and the lead acid batteries going out of the way. A lot of weight off the boat too. So what we have had delivered, why don't you go through the components? With your camera.
Okay.
And if you guys have questions, I am monitoring the chat screen right here, and I can ask Chris questions as he goes through this stuff.
Okay.
Where's my drink?
It's right here's your drink.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Here you can have a drink. I'll have a drink.
We're having, this is Strawberry Magic cider by Cider Boys, right?
I think so.
Okay. Or did
no, it's a Strongbow.
This is the Strongbow's Cherry Blossom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cherry Blossom by Strongbow. Okay. Now let's see.
So first of all, we are working underneath the couch, and the current corner cushion is currently out.
And yes, this is actually where the inverter had been, but the old inverter's wiring was really not done right. So we've basically had to rewire everything, which meant pulling wires from one end of the boat to the other, from here down to the generator. This is now going to be our new power hub. So that's the part of the project we've already done, is pulling lots of, this is 6-gauge 3-conductor wire. So we've got this now going up to the main boat inlet, down to the generator, and up there again. So we will be able to basically have the inverter power any circuit on the boat, including the air conditioners. I've got a kind of a switch system designed and how this is all going to work and be easy to use. So great, and then because this is starting here, this is a Victron Quattro. I consider it kind of the king of inverters. There it is. This is the 24 volt, 5,000 VA, basically 4 to 5,000 watts, 120 amp charger, and that's 120 amp at 24 volts. So it would be a 12 volt equivalent 240 amp charger. So this can charge really, really fast. Can power really hefty loads, and it has what Quattro means is it's got 2 inputs and 2 outputs. So it's got both the generator and shore power come into here, and then it can use its boosting capability to boost up either one of those power sources. So in our case, we've got just a 6,000 watt generator. If we happen to have spikes of higher loads that would overload the generator and stuff, it just combines with battery. Or if we are at a marina that only has 30 amp service, or even just 20 amp or 15, we just tell that to the inverter, and it will combine battery power with the shore power, so we will never blow a circuit on the shore. We've had this sort of set up. This kind of the little brother of this was what we have in our bus. We've had it for 7 years.
It's the Multi Plus 3000
Yes.
we have on the bus.
Yes, and absolutely love it. Victrons are built rock solid. We've didn't start off with any official relationship with Victron. We just wrote about how much we loved it, and years ago they said, hey, we've got some new cool stuff. Do you want to be a beta tester? And so ever since then, we've been actually beta testing a few Victron things on the bus, and we'll be doing it here. So I'll show you some of the cooler Victron-y things.
Oh, and for the record, we did pay for our Victron equipment this time around.
Yeah. And so I guess I'll start with this. Is the Victron Venus GX. So this little box, if any of you looked at our old bus system, it had that cool color control panel. That was the CCGX. This is kind of the same thing, next generation, without a screen. So your screen is, you can bring it up on any phone, any computer, anything else. This acts as kind of a smart brain for an entire Victron power system. The solar controllers can plug into here, the battery monitors, the inverter. And then the Venus actually has a bunch of auxiliary ports, so you can hook up tank monitors. And I'll have our fresh tank will plug into this very easily, and hopefully eventually our waste tank. And you can have temperature sensors, all sorts of other things, and set alerts, set alarms, and then view this anywhere on the internet, anywhere you're connected. So it acts as a bridge between your electrical system and the net. And one of the cool things that I'm going to be beta testing with Victron that they're experimenting with is actually letting this act as a Signal K server, which is kind of geeky, but that's basically a bridge between the boat NMEA network, that's the Boat Marine Electronics Network, and the internet, and you can then build your own custom dash panels for all your boat instruments and make it an anchor alarm that you can view anywhere on the internet and all sorts of other fun, cool stuff. So this acts as a little server. It plugs into everything. This is going to be mounted not down here. This will be up in our electrical panel area up there, but all the wiring back and forth has already been done.
Excuse our mess. We are mid-project chaos. It is actually much cleaner today than it was earlier.
I'll show you. Let's see. So the other piece of the Victron brain right now is the Victron BMV 712 battery monitor, which I've got up there. I'll disconnect it and bring it down in just a second, but I'll show you before I unplug it. We've got on via Bluetooth, can bring up from anywhere nearby a remote display of, hey, our batteries are 100% state of charge, 26 volts, it's 82 degrees. That's coming from this shunt is the internal part of that. This shunt, all your electrical loads pass through this, so it can measure every milliamp that goes in and out of the batteries, and then has the remote display over yonder, and the new versions, the new generations of these actually are reachable via Bluetooth. So I'll show you. Let's go grab the display.
And if you guys have questions, remember, just go and type them in, and we can casually answer them as we go.
So here is the little display. This can screw into a dash panel, and I'm just about to mount that up in there. And it shows you your battery status as well as acts as the Bluetooth bridge. This is very affordable, and I'd recommend it for one of the first upgrades anybody do for an electrical system is have a real battery monitor. Is pretty easy to install, really easy to use, and gives you so much knowledge of what your electrical system is up to. So, highly recommend this. Diving in. Hey, Bluetooth connection lost. I wonder why. I unplugged it. So as I said, we're switching our boat from a 12-volt house battery bank to 24. That just makes all the wiring more efficient. It's better for big loads to have a high 24-volt system. But we still have all the existing, everything from the lights to the marine electronics, everything else is still on 12 volts. So all the high current stuff is now going to be at 24 volt. The inverter, and eventually actually we'll have a 24 volt fridge, and our freezer can be modified to go 24 volt. All the big draws will be 24 volt, more efficient. And then this will take the 24 volt power from the batteries. This is a Orion 24 volt to 12 volt converter. And this will provide up to 70 amps of, where's it, 80? 70 or 80 amps of 12 volt power, which should be plenty for our systems here. So that's going to be mounted up there as well, and we'll convert to the 12 volt circuits we still need. Simple thing there. And then let's get across to the batteries. So what we have here for our initial system is 6 of the Battleborn's 100 amp hour 12 volt GC2 batteries. So 12 volt, every 2 batteries is jumpered together to make a 24 volt battery. So each pair is a 24 volts, and then they're all put in series along the way to make the 300 amp hour 24 volt bank. Because when you put them in series like that, you total, each one is a 100 amp hour, each pair is 100 amp hours of 24 volt power. So we've got a 300 amp hour 24 volt battery bank. Fits beautifully, basically completely hidden in this kind of dead space behind the deep inside the sofa. And then got a few weird things that are kind of Battleborn specific. This is their current surge limiter that they say that we needed to have because what's kind of interesting about the Battleborn batteries versus the other kind of lithiums we played with is each one of these has its own BMS inside of it. One of the things that people get nervous about with lithium batteries is it's very easy to destroy them by running them down too far, overcharging them, charging them when it's below freezing. You've got very expensive batteries, you don't want to kill them by mistake. BMS acts to prevent any of those issues happening. The BMS on our bus lithium system, we built raw cells, bolted them together, and had a completely external separate BMS. In the case of Battleborn, each one of these batteries is a completely black box. There's no interface, there's no electronics, there's nothing visible outside, but there's a BMS inside. So theoretically, these batteries are probably quite literally bulletproof, and you can't really hurt them. You can put them into a regular electrical system without any extra electronics, but, well, you sometimes might need a few things. Like this is Battleborn's current surge limiter. Apparently very, very large inverters, a la the Victron Quattro, can potentially draw so much current when they first start up that the Battleborn's BMS might think it's a short circuit and be protecting themselves and shut off. So this basically acts as a tiny little break inside the electrical system that keeps that initial surge from triggering the BMS. It's kind of a big and awkward thing, but I found a spot to mount this. It's almost as big as one of their batteries. That's going in there, and that's basically about the only special thing. Then you're just hooking the inverter and the batteries together is kind of the next step in the project right now. Tools project today has been making all these battery cables, the 4-aught cables, which are a real royal pain to work with. We happened to buy a lot of surplus 4-aught cable at a marine warehouse a while back, and I've been making new jumper wires out of here's a ratcheting cutter. You put not your finger, but put something through there, and then this just slices it, whatever it is, right across. Doing that to cut the wires, razor blades to strip them, and then this is hard part with heavy gauge cables is crimping them, and so this is hydraulic 16-ton crimper. You just pump this and it will squish down and crimp whatever wires you put inside. This is under $50 on Amazon, so it's a hell of a deal. But we had to buy two to find one that works. These cheap imported crimpers are kind of hit or miss on manufacturing defects. We've discovered and seen the reviews. When they work really well. But other than that, a 4/0 crimper is several $100s, starting around $200 and going on up. So for a single project, I'm hoping to get by with a small, simple, not necessarily professional piece of gear. And I don't know, that's kind of the raw update of what we are up to.
Okay, I've got some questions coming in.
Okay. Yes, we can geek out to whatever level.
All right. Dan wants to know, what is the efficiency of the DC to DC converter?
I believe it's about 92 to 96% efficiency, so not a lot of power loss in that conversion.
Okay. Chris, you mentioned earlier a concern about downtime adding in the inverter circuits. Have you thought about installing a switch and run inverter circuits across it?
Well, so actually the inverter is going to be feeding in to our main power system as if it was the generator, and also the generator feeds into the inverter, so it is the generator going into that. So the switch is putting our various power banks on the Bayliner. You've got multiple banks of AC power, and there's actually that corresponds to multiple power inlets on that side of the boat, and you can put them as shore power or generator power. In this case, will be shore power or inverter power. So yeah, it's not just minimizes the downtime in doing the project, but it will make it very flexible in how we are running things.
Rex says he'll love to see the write-up of this build. He admires your bravery in tackling projects like this. Like this, ashes in your coach. Hopefully no ashes in our coach.
Yes, no ashes.
Okay, Dan says, any concerns about the crimped connections corroding? Any need to solder them?
If connections are exposed to any sort of elements, you definitely should do heat shrink on them to protect them from the elements. Soldering on boat circuits is not necessarily the best thing. There's not really downside, but it actually makes the cable stiffer and harder to work with. And again, you'd still probably want heat shrink anyway. So going with that, and for these particular wires, they are in not exposed to the elements as opposed to the wires that would be out in the cockpit. So not a big corrosion concern in here, but yes, I'm actually going to be heat shrinking all the connection ends here, and everything is being done as properly as you can be.
Joe says he used the same crimper and it worked great for his solar and lithium system.
Yeah, this crimper, it's really kind of interesting because I think I found 7 or 8 different companies selling basically the exact same thing imported from China with different color cases. And one of them charges a few dollars extra and includes free gloves with the crimper. And the first one we got, I went to start crimping while Shri was away from the boat, hoping to get some of this done while she was out away from the chaos. And that crimper just had no squeezing power whatsoever. It was very unfortunate. So that one's over there, going back to Amazon. Got to drop it off at UPS. Speaking of things that need to leave the boat, we have the old inverter. If anybody happens to be interested in a Xantrex,
it's a SW2012. It's a 2,000 watt sine wave inverter. So if anyone is in the market for it's a year and a half old. It was bought brand new just after our survey on the boat. Apparently the old one had gone out, so the owner went and replaced it. So it was brand new as of February 2017.
And it's also got the fancy remote control display for it, and all the manuals and everything else. It's actually a pretty nice inverter. It wasn't installed very smartly. There was undersized wiring to install it here and everything, but it's actually a really nice inverter. So it's looking for a new home. If anybody is interested, let us know.
Yeah, patrons get first dibs.
Yes.
Any other questions you guys have on the project? Feel free to ask. This is just a time to geek out. I said once we have the whole thing done, we'll be doing some videos and overview of it and updating our lithium research and from 7 years ago
about
when
the
we.
different manufacturers we've looked into and all the different battery options we considered. And yeah, so we'll have a lot to share soon.
Yeah, so we'll see how this system goes. We may end up getting 6 more batteries from Battleboard. That's one option, because to get the full system that we would like. We may end up just moving this to the bus, because our bus system is now over 7.5 years old and had that initial rapid aging due to the way we had it initially installed.
Well, and yeah, it was at the very early bleeding edge of lithium technology. So batteries have come a long way since then. So yeah, we've I don't know if you can see the rest of this couch here. The couch extends further, and it also continues to have this kind of dead space. We use the couch as storage, but it also has that back area of under the sofa is not very good storage because it's really tucked away back there, and I've engineered how this would work to expand to an additional 6 batteries, which would give us 600 amp hours of 24 volt power, going up into the second chamber. Or if we went with the Victron HE batteries, that would get us to 1,000 amp hours of 24 volt power in that space.
So, no questions?
Yeah. Oh, was this interesting? Is this the sort of thing you guys want to see more of like raw, mid-project, quick, private updates?
Experimenting with new benefits for patrons, doing more live Q&As. Need some more Q's to give some A's, so. And if you have questions not even about the lithium or the electrical system, we welcome any questions from you guys. Well, we might get a little snippy with mobile internet questions, but any questions are welcomed. We had like nothing from Florence up here, thank goodness. Some extra heat and almost no wind.
We had nerves. We had a lot of nerves from Florence.
So very blessed with that. So sounds like folks enjoyed the update.
Okay, so yeah, as far as intermediate projects, this afternoon I got the batteries finished being installed, and all the cables made, and the battery monitor is now hooked up, and just a modest amount more work and I'll be able to have the inverter connected, and but then I've got to start wiring in all the AC stuff of like how we'll be able to run stuff off the inverter but not charge the batteries just yet until I do some wiring behind the main breaker panel, and that's stuff that needs to be done with the power shut off to the boat. So I'll probably pick early mornings to do that when the air conditioners can be off, and spread that out over a couple days of morning wiring projects. Hopefully we'll be fully good to go before too long, and should be ready to take the old batteries out actually very soon. So we've also, anybody wants some mostly dead golf cart batteries?
I don't think I'll have any takers on that one. The inverter, maybe. I don't think anyone wants dead batteries. G. Gorman wants to know, have you found a good lubricant for the battery connections?
What have I used before? I'm trying to remember the grease I've put on connections in the past, anti-corrosion grease. But yeah, I don't remember off the top of my head. This is something I researched and looked up, and I got a tub of it tucked away.
Austin would like to know, will you guys be able to run the most important things off solar and batteries? So no solar yet. The solar will still be hopefully this springtime. We're hoping to, now that we're staying in Jacksonville for another month, is hoping to talk with some canvas makers here in the area and get that scheduled for when we return to the boat in springtime.
Yes, but designing this, I've plotted out where all the solar hookups go, where everything goes. Also, because we're switching from 12 to 24, if I want to be able to charge the batteries off the alternator, I've had to plan ahead for how the alternator is going to connect into this. We'll put in a new high capacity 24 volt alternator. So yeah, I've got a whole document of both the steps I designed, like what I need to do to put this together, as well as all the future considerations, I need to make sure I don't back myself into a corner with this, that, okay, we're ready for this expansion, that expansion. And yeah, definitely want to have lots of solar.
Yes, and be able to run most everything, including the intention with this system is to be able to run an air conditioner overnight completely off battery.
Yep, and charge completely during the day.
So that we don't have to run generators overnight, have the solar be able to recharge during the day and or just some time with the generator. That's kind of the end goal. But as we move further north, air conditioning will probably become less and less of an issue. But
so
it stays
might
pretty warm.
back.
But it stays pretty warm as you go north these days anyway. So. Dan says 1,000 amp hours you could run AC and pretty much anything else. Yep,
yes.
that's that's kind of the point. And having the 5,000 watt inverter is definitely part of that. So that'll be able to run 2 air conditioners, right?
Well, I'm eager to see how well it does with the soft start going. And it's also a thing we're planning on is putting in an easy start, soft start on the air conditionings, and that I think will let us run 2 ACs at once. Actually, it should. Off of battery. That will be sucking them down really fast, but that will be a very interesting experiment to see if we can actually pull that off.
Scott wants to know where we're planning to install the solar panels, and I can take that question one of 2 ways. One, probably here in Jacksonville, or were you asking where on the boat?
Yeah. On the bottom of the hull, facing down, the reflected sun off the bottom. We're going to cover our bimini with solar panels.
So we're going to have new canvas made. It's falling apart anyway. And then they would go on the structure of the bimini structure up there on the fly bridge. And I know when we were calculating it out last summer, we figured we could get 2,000 to 2,400 watts up there, right?
Yeah, so...
I'm not sure we'll actually need that much, but...
Yeah. So need to nail down the final pick of panels and need to find a good bimini person to help us do that project. So if anybody's got bimini/canvas recommendations in Jacksonville, Florida area, any northern Florida area, yeah, send references our way, or tell them about us and have them contact us.
Because we're planning to still hopefully cruise down, up, whichever way.
Upstream to Sanford.
Upstream to Sanford from here. Hopefully, if the tropics calm down.
Yeah, mid-October we'll start cruising to Sanford.
And then we are currently planning to store the boat here in Jacksonville for the winter, and then return here in winter. So, but anywhere in northern Florida-ish, we can get out here.
Yep.
Are we going to be using bioluminescence for our solar? Yes, we can be charged from the bioluminescence. That's awesome, yes.
That would be fun.
Guess we can't charge it from our underwater lights, huh? Probably wouldn't work so well.
No.
But yeah, we're feeling pretty good. It's good to be here. We love this marina. We're at Ortega Landing in Jacksonville, and it's everything that legends have it to be. We've got a hot tub, a pool, great community, cool town to explore. I'm enjoying getting around. We have tickets to a symphony this weekend, so we're excited about that. Went to a dinner theater with my mom a couple weekends ago.
The Saturday Riverside Farmers Market is a blast, or Riverside Arts Market. We've done that 2 weeks in a row. Great food trucks and live music, and so we're having some good times in Jacksonville, and then doing a lot of work and a lot of boat projects. So.
Yep.
And we got new iPhone toys coming too. So
you do. I decided to skip the new iPhone this time around, but Chris is getting the new Max.
Yep. Let's work.
Got to test out 4x4 Mimo.
Yep. Nice. So it sounds like Pete's getting a...
So Pete says he's currently in Tempe and have a 600 amp hour Victron solution installed in his fifth wheel, 275 watts times 4 LG panels. Hope to be loved on the system tonight. Well, if that's your thing.
You can love your lithium system, or you can love your lithium system. That might be one way to short it out, I think.
Grateful Road wants to know how are the restaurants here. We honestly haven't left our little corner too much. Jacksonville is a big town. It takes 30 minutes to get anywhere.
But we found with like the Simply Sarah's was a nice discovery nearby. One of our favorite quick foods is Moe's, and there's a Moe's within walking distance of this marina, so we've been making that our go-to. And Yeah, when the boat is torn apart for projects, it's
Bring it
not
out.
very conducive to cooking at home.
Nor feeling like really going out to fancier places or.
Yes.
So we do have Avondale is a cute little area
Yeah.
of town. The neighborhood, it's about 2 miles away from here.
We've been up there several times.
They have
Yeah.
some great little restaurants up there. Biscotti's? Yeah, Biscotti's Bistro. We've been enjoying Mojo's Barbecue. There's apparently a vegan sushi place up there we need to go try.
I definitely need to try that.
And there's supposed to be a pizza place. I need to see if they have GF.
And we've been very much taking advantage of the swimming pool here. So hot days, get sweaty with projects, and then we've been cooling down almost every night with a dip in the pool. So we're not normally pool people, but we are really loving being at this kind of fancy marina with a pool
And a hot tub.
and a hot tub.
And they have it open 24/7, so that's been really nice. Captain Jesse wants to know impacts of Florence here. So here in Jacksonville, we have gotten no ill effects at all. The worst for us here, and it's really hard to even complain about it considering what the alternatives could have been. But it caused more heat and less wind to come through here.
Yeah, kind of
which-
sucked
so
up
it's-
some
so it's-
humid, still air.
So it's been feeling a little bit like a convection oven around. We got up to about 99 today, but it's supposed to start cooling off here. But I'll take it.
Yeah, and just a few tiny little sprinkles. And I think yesterday afternoon there was like a slight gust of wind, and we're like, I think that's Florence passing. It's like,
Yeah. No, but nothing here. They had predicted that we had like 10 to 15% chance of having some tropical force winds here, and I think it moved a little more north than the original. Some of the projections were coming, and we got nothing here except for the heat.
well, what was kind of interesting is seeing like news alerts pop up of like, hundreds evacuated from collapsed hotel in Jacksonville. I'm like, what's going on? Florence is hitting Jacksonville, and no, it's Jacksonville, North Carolina. I'm like, okay, Google News, I'm wrong, Jacksonville. You're giving me alerts on.
Yes, I think we had a couple folks write us or make comments in places. It's like, oh my gosh, you're in Jacksonville. I keep hearing about Jacksonville getting decimated, and different Jacksonville.
Different
Thankfully. But
Yes, there's a lot of Jacksonville.
There were a couple of days there where it looked like Florence might have shifted and might have had more impact here. So we were at the ready just in case.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pete says live on the system
Got
tonight,
it.
not love
Well,
on the system
congratulations. I might get back to this and actually have our inverter fire up for the first time tonight too. So maybe we'll both be live on our systems tonight. And then we could love on them.
tonight. Yeah, I think me and the cat might go find something to do.
Yep. It's not a boat project unless you bleed, so I did pierce my finger a little bit with some tiny copper shards, so it's officially a boat project now. And I guess we'll have footage of it later, but one of the fun things we had to figure out how to do yesterday, was we had to pull the entire sofa, just basically disassemble the sofa and slide it out from the wall 4 inches to figure out how to get wires up and down the side of the boat. That was an ambitious and fun, challenging project that we were able to tackle. And now all the wires in the right place. Now it's just all the detail work of hooking things up.
Mm-hmm. So there's a question about cell phone plans and devices on the boat and bus, and we test everything. So our changes our plan changes are whatever we have to test next. So
Yes.
that's all stuff that we do over the Mobile Internet Resource Center.
And we have every plan.
So
Yes.
we pretty much try to pick up a representative sample of all equipment and all plans, and we're constantly testing gear. So we unfortunately don't get a normal system, but that's our job to keep testing this gear and reporting on it. And we do have the Mobile Internet Resource Center channel where we're constantly tracking the new options that are out there. And you can also view our testing lab online and see the current equipment that's being tested, and our reviews of everything is over there as well in the Gear Center.
Yep.
So,
Okay, so it's time to wrap it up.
yeah, no more questions. Q&A is no fun without no cues.
Kiki, do you have any questions you want to... Kiki would like to point out that there's a tiny little hole down that she has discovered. She can get behind... she can get behind the inverter and into the wall behind the sofa. And ask how we know about that. I heard little jingle bells coming from inside the sofa the other day. I'm like, oh, good job, Kat. Find new secret nooks and crannies. So we're trying to keep her from going down in there, and she keeps trying to sneak into the walls.
Yeah, but she's pretty good though.
Yeah, so she is.
There's Kiki. She's been supervising the whole project.
Mm-hmm. Kitten. Hey. No, she's mid-nap.
All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. I think there's dinner and a pool calling us. So thanks for joining us for this first experimental patron-exclusive Q&A. If you happen to sneak in while we didn't quite understand how to do a limited cast, well, maybe you'll consider joining us over at Patreon. We do more stuff like this behind the scenes. Our patrons have been in the know of this project, well, since we decided to do it.
Yeah.
So,
And yeah, and we will be sharing lots publicly once, and including our research and why we picked the things we did and everything like that. But we like to share that stuff once we're done, so we're not second guessing ourselves.
Yep. So we're gonna go enjoy the rest of our weekend, and hope you enjoy the rest of yours. Thanks for sharing a few moments with us, and
See you guys.
see you later.
And slide to stop.